Well, we went to bed a little late, but I wanted to make sure I got up to see the premiere, and I did. And we just watched it, and it was really exciting. Premieres are great. Premieres are really wonderful. It's so fun to read chat and experience that excitement with a group of people. And people were really excited. Hello, everyone, and welcome to Sunday. It's really difficult working on something like this for this long, because the ideas that I've had for this finale, I've had for a long time, since back when Fallout was current, probably maybe in like 2017 or earlier even. So I've had ideas for how to do this, like each individual little part of it. And when you sit on ideas for that long, you start to wonder if it's like the right thing you should do. Like, as I was getting close to the end of editing all this, I was thinking about that, like, oh, are people going to like this? Because like maybe I should have done something different. But I had made notes years ago that was like, hey, this is my idea, and I think it's a good idea. So I'm really like following along my notes from years ago, and I'm like, okay, if past Steven thought it was good, and past Steven was in the heat of it, like getting Fallout out twice a week and doing that for months, like past Steven probably knows. So anyway, today I'm going to use this opportunity to talk about some behind the scenes of the Fallout finale. Now, obviously, I would recommend that you watch that Fallout finale first. It's over on Steven Plays. It's less than half an hour of your time. I think it's worth your time, even if you haven't seen the series. But once you watch that, come back here, and I will tell you about some things that went on throughout the finale. So first off, the live action footage was shot years ago in 2018. It is part of the old timeline vlogs. It is actually the primary reason that I wanted Fallout to finish before I got back to doing those 2018 vlogs. I'd been working on the 2018 vlogs, and at some point I stopped because I was like, if I continue to work on the 2018 stuff, it's going to spoil the finale of Fallout. Now, at the time, I thought that it would only be just a little bit longer, before I finished Fallout. I had no idea it was going to be years, but that's primarily the reason. I just didn't want to spoil the end of the thing. And obviously, as a result, when we start releasing those 2018 vlogs, it won't take very long before we get to this, and we can show, kind of the full context of us walking around and getting these shots and everything. Now, that ending was all thanks to a user by the name of Not David Lynch, Dan, who I had talked to about this. I feel certain that they reached out to me. I'm pretty sure he reached out to me about it and said that it was a possibility. And I was like, that's great. Like, that would be wonderful. Because he's from Boston and knows the area super well and had been watching the Fallout LP as it went on. So he was able to basically make a list of all of the places that we could see in the order that we could see them to best utilize our time to see as much of these locations as possible. So that's what we did. There was a day that we didn't go. I don't know even know if we went to PAX that day.
No, we didn't.
I think we just skipped going to PAX that day. And Josh Shepson came with us, and we just went around and filmed all of that stuff. And Not David Lynch was great. Was so knowledgeable about everything, and like knew exactly where to take us and what to do and the most efficient ways to get there. And again, because he had a deep understanding of the Let's Play, and also Fallout 4, like he knew exactly what we should be seeing and what would be particularly impactful. And we recorded that in 2018. And whenever it came time to do this finale, that was the very, very last part of the footage that I recorded. I recorded every other thing, and then I was working on this credit sequence, and I basically was just pulling up the clips that we shot that have been sitting on my hard drive for 2.5 years, and like looking at where the camera was and then trying to match the camera placement in the game. And that was an experience, but I was able to do it. And we used a lot of footage from that we had shot in 2018, but we didn't use all of it. There was one location that we got that we didn't include, and it's the amphitheater.
Yes.
Yeah, we got footage of the amphitheater, but it was a walking shot, and the camera's not stabilized, and I tried to stabilize it in post, and it looked really jarring. We already had one walking shot that I had stabilized, and it was still a little jarring, but this one was particularly jarring, and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to leave it out. So I might include that in the vlog itself, so people will still be able to see it. But I had footage of that, of Grit walking away from the amphitheater too, but I decided not to use it. Also, a lot of the stuff was filmed from two angles. Whenever we were shooting all of that live action stuff, Mao had a camera and Josh had a camera. Most of what we use in the finale is Mao's camera footage, but Josh also had a camera and was filming a second angle, but we ended up not really using it because of the timing with the music whenever I was putting it together in post. But at the time when we were shooting it, I didn't know. So I was like, well, we'll just get two angles of a lot of this stuff. One shot that we definitely did use was Josh's, the very last live action shot where I'm in front of MIT. That was shot with the ZS-100, which has got a 10x optical zoom, or 15 or something. And Josh was the one that shot that. And all of the clips, I think, are in chronological order from how they were shot. So that was like our actual path, and I just kept it the same because it felt like it flowed pretty well. And ending on MIT was I thought it was really impactful, especially because it was, this zoom out shot. I thought was really cool. Oh, and also as a special little cameo, since Not David Lynch had helped us around Boston and everything, he's actually in that final shot. He's sitting on the stairs behind me on that very last live action shot. So that's kind of neat. So that's all of like the live action stuff, which, again, that part we've been sitting on that since like early 2018. And that wasn't a complete secret. I know that Mao had I think you had posted something on Instagram.
Yeah, I put an Instagram post of you and Josh in that part.
So Mao had an Instagram post years ago. But again, it's been so long that folks either forgot or maybe they just missed it. So I think it did genuinely surprise a lot of folks, which is good. And that's the same reason why I didn't want to release the vlogs before this came out. So I'm glad I didn't. I'm glad we were able to surprise people. Whenever I was working on this, and whenever I made like the original notes years ago for how I wanted to do the finale, I thought that there was basically a few important elements for how this should go. First important element, the thing that was most important throughout the entirety of the Fallout 4 Let's Play was companionship. Grit Jones is a lover of his companions and of this family that he's assembled after the bombs have dropped. And that is the driving force. That's like his motivation, is to continue to, work with them and for them. And that was the reason why, from the very beginning, whenever I learned that Nuka World had, the two endings of join the Raiders and crush the Commonwealth, or, kill all the Raiders. Like, I knew from the very beginning, I was like, oh, okay, well, Grit's got to kill the Raiders. And because we had already established Nora as a character, and that I could jump back and forth with her and do stuff that Grit wasn't going to do, it made it really easy, on her episodes just a few months ago, to show that other side and be like, okay, well, let's join the Raiders and see what happens when we conquer the Commonwealth, with the understanding that I'd be coming back to Grit to kill the Raiders. I felt like it made a lot more sense for his character. The other exciting part about doing it that way is that Fallout, the entire time that I've done the series, has had a lot of parallels to the Skyrim series. There's been parallels throughout, and I wanted to continue to make those connections even into the finale. And a lot of people remember the Skyrim finale so vividly because it is kind of a departure in many ways from the style of every other episode of Skyrim. It's more of like just a wild celebration. That being said, even though it's like this, Skyrim's finale is like this big murder party and Argyle goes crazy and kills everyone, it really doesn't make a whole lot of sense within the context of the story. The advantage with doing this same style thing in Fallout is that it does. It actually does make sense in the story. It makes sense in terms of, of Grit's character. The people that he's killing are against his, ethical code. So it actually makes a little more sense than Skyrim's finale does, and that's good. We've made those improvements. But then Skyrim, it's basically like this really wild montage of stuff, and I wanted to draw that parallel and make sure I could do that, so this allowed me to do it. But because the companions were so important, I wanted to use them all, and it was not too long into Fallout's life that they announced mods for the Xbox, and I had already started to think about that sort of thing, like, because the companions are so important to this story and so important to Grit, that I wanted to use all the companions at once. And I knew that there would be like a mod for that. And I remember right after mods launched, I had talked to Dan, because Dan was playing Fallout at the time, and he was having a lot of fun with mods and stuff. And I'd asked him, I was like, is there a mod that like you can use all the companions at once? And he was like, yeah, dude. He's like, it's crazy. Like, you can use them all. And he's like, it doesn't like cause any slowdowns or anything. Like, you can just use as many as you want. And like, that basically cemented it for me. I was like, okay, this is definitely going to be part of the very end of the series. And the entire series is vanilla. There are no mods anywhere else in the series except for the finale. And it's basically used as a storytelling device. I wanted to make sure that after having not seen some of these companions since like the very beginning of the game, that we got a chance to return to them and allow them to have some screen time again. And it was so cool to watch, the premiere and see the chat and see people getting emotional because they spent so much of their time experiencing this, this LP, or playing the game on their own and getting very familiar and intimate with the characters, that they get to see those characters again. And that's what I wanted. I wanted someone to watch this and be like, oh my God, there's Nick Valentine, there's McCready, there's Kate, there's Piper, and they all get a chance to be shown and they all get a chance to, participate. Now, I've talked a few times as we were getting closer to this about the problems I had with crashing, and some of the crashing probably is maybe related to the mod, maybe related to the fact that I had a lot of companions, but definitely not all of it. Definitely not. In the course of me trying to put this all together, the game probably crashed somewhere between 10 and 15 times, maybe more. And some of the times had nothing to do with the mod, because there was times I recorded parts of this finale without mods, and it just crashed because the game, the more I played it, just crashed. So that was fun. It was certainly a headache. One thing I learned, actually, anyone that watched Fallout whenever it was current may remember a robot character that I built that I named Mecha Faendal. And whenever I was playing through the game with Mecha Faendal, the frame rate was dropping really badly, to the point that after just a few episodes, I had to send him back to, Sanctuary Hills and be like, well, okay, you stay here now, buddy. Because for whatever reason, whenever he was with us, like the frame rate got super choppy. And when I first tried to record this, I actually, I was doing like a little test of the mod and bringing everyone with me. And I brought him, and I ran into some major issues as a result. So I decided that it would be best if I left out robots. So that's why Mecha Faendal isn't with me, that's why Jezebel's not with me, that's why Ada's not with me. I kept it to the human characters because for whatever reason, using the robot seems to, especially the Faendal character, I don't know why, like just tanks the game to the point of crashing, and that was bad. So we left that out. But yeah, the elements that I wanted to have were, I wanted it to feel similar to the Skyrim finale with, these big epic, montages of fun. As a result, and I had learned this from doing the Nora episodes, I turned the in-game music off because that allows me to add my own music later. And I technically learned that in the Skyrim finale because I'm pretty sure I did it there too. But whenever I was cutting together all the stuff for Nora's episodes, I think the first stuff I did with her, I had the in-game music on, and when I was cutting it in post, I quickly realized, I was like, you know what, this is better if I add my own music. But I had already had the in-game music in, so for like every subsequent Nora thing I did, I turned the in-game music off. So I did that in the finale too, because then you still hear the sound effects, but you can overlay the music over everything, and it makes a lot more sense. All of the music that you hear in the finale is from the YouTube audio library, except for obviously the Fallout theme, and then the one song, which is from Jules and Jack, the cover of Doom. And the Doom cover is something that I only started to think about once I had started editing this. Once I had started to put this together, I was probably at the very beginnings of editing the finale, and I would scrub ahead into the footage and start looking at stuff. And every time I got to the ribcage montage, the Doom song was just playing in my head. I think it's my favorite song that Jules has covered, and I just really love the sound of it, and it just kept coming back to me, like for multiple days as I was working on the very beginning of the editing for this. I just kept hearing that Doom song in my head, and I was like, it seems a little weird, to put Doom music in a Fallout game. But with how I was cutting it, I was like, you know what? I think it would be fun. I think people would really like it. So that's how I ended up using that. So again, had to feel like the Skyrim finale in some ways. Had to show the companions, and then of course the other big thing, besides the live action element, because that also makes it feel like the Skyrim finale, the other big thing is that there had to be a payoff for the ribcage joke, because throughout the entire series, I've been picking up ribcages, and it's not something I had planned from the very, very beginning. It's just, it became a joke. I was picking them up. And then maybe like halfway through the series, I started to think long term about how could I implement these? And the most obvious way to make them a usable item was the junk jet. So that's what the plan became. I had collected all of these rib cages, and it was like, how can I use them? How can I make this a meaningful thing? How can I include this joke in the finale? And I was like, if I can do some sort of montage with the junk jet shooting these rib cages, that would be a great idea. So it had to have that element. There had to be a payoff for the fact that Grit was collecting these for so long. And again, the Doom music just works so well with that, and it's cool and feels fun, but also it's wacky, and I really love that element of it, because even in the finale, there's parts that are very serious. There's a wide range of emotions, but there's still that wacky element to different parts of it, and the rib cages are certainly no different. And I think that's basically it. Another fun fact, because I obviously had to use mods to get the all of the companions working together, and there's multiple mods on the workshop that do that. I also downloaded a different mod that allowed you to change the time and weather, and that was essential in getting those the reverse shots for the live action stuff. Getting all the in-game Grit footage of the live action shots, because when you're warping around, time passes, weather changes, and I didn't want to shoot something in real life in the day and then, oh, it's night and raining in the game. So in order to do that, I had to make sure that I would warp to a location, and then I would use this mod that I had that allowed me to just alter the weather. So I was like, all right, it's noon and it's a clear day. And then I just kept doing that so I could make sure everything stayed the same. And then the one other interesting thing is that, in the playthrough with Grit, he destroys the Institute. So whenever we shot the stuff at MIT, and I'm getting it into post, I'm like, crap, the Institute's gone. So originally, I actually went to where the Institute was, and I just show the big crater in the ground, and I'm like, this is not going to work. It doesn't have the same impact. So I actually loaded up a super, super, super old save that I had of Grit before he destroyed the Institute. And then I went there and got that shot so I could make sure that was in the game, or in the video. So it's a little weird, I guess, because I think that's the one element that doesn't technically make sense, because, in Grit's universe, the Institute's destroyed. But if you think about it, less about that and more about the fact that it's just a fun montage that shows, the real world places to the game's locations, I think it's fine. Anyway, I think that's about all of the stuff I can spill out of my head over this. Again, I've been sitting on a lot of these ideas for years, and it was so fun to put all of the pieces together and to see folks get excited. Not only about seeing, their favorite characters again, but also to draw all of the parallels to, the Skyrim finale. I even titled it the same way, the end of Fallout, and made the thumbnail very similar so that they would feel kind of like a companion series. And it's done. And it's a shame that Skyrim is numerically longer, that it has more episodes, because Fallout is the longer series by a lot. The watch time, if you were to watch Skyrim, is about 130 hours, but the watch time of Fallout is 50 hours longer, or longer than that. 55 hours long. I think it's like 185 hours, so it's a much longer series. If you're going to watch Fallout, you got to set aside some time. But I enjoyed making it. It's a big deal for me to have completed it, obviously, but then also to have ensured that the same level of care that I was putting into the series as it was ongoing was also applied to the finale. So if people choose to watch it 5 years from now, which has happened with Skyrim, that they can still enjoy it just as much as if they were watching today. And I'm happy about that. Anyway, I still have all my Sunday left. What are we gonna do, Mal?
We got stuff to do.
Like chores?
Yeah.
It's fine. It's fine. Thank you all again for watching. I hope that you enjoyed the finale. Hope you enjoyed getting, this little behind the scenes look. I'm not going to put together another documentary. I know I had people asking me that, like, are you going to do another mini document? No. No, I'm not. There will be a little more footage you'll get a chance to see when the vlog for, the day that we shot the live action stuff comes out. Otherwise, if you have any questions that you want me to answer, you can leave them on this vlog, and I'll answer as many as I can. It was fun to make. I know I had a lot of people asking me how long it took to make the final episode, and oh my god, I have no idea. The actual footage portion of it wasn't like terribly, terribly long. It was probably the footage that was recorded was probably like 15 hours, 10 to 15 hours. But there was so much that went into figuring out like the mod stuff, and there was also stuff that wasn't actively recorded too whenever I was working through all of that. So I don't know. And then that's not anything to do with post, which is going to be that time plus. So if it took 15, 20 hours, it's going to be 15 to 20 hours more plus. So I don't know. Probably 50, maybe like 50. 50 hours might be a pretty good estimate for just the final episode. I don't know. Oh, that's another thing I should mention while I'm thinking about it. At the very, very end, we show stats like we did at the Skyrim finale. All of those are, pretty much everything is an estimate. It's what the game told me. But you have to remember, especially on Nora's stuff, so I was constantly like playing and then reloading a save in order to show all of like the timelines that she did. So Grit's is probably mostly accurate. Nora's is, I have no idea. It was just, that was the most recent save I had, and I used the stats from that, but for both of them are probably estimates, and hers are probably super estimates, because when you're constantly reloading saves, you're losing out on whatever happened in that time span. And that's also one of the things that makes me really wonder what my actual playtime was, because I know I had to reload stuff. And I don't think I really ever had to reload anything with Grit. If I did, it was super minimal, and it was probably just as part of the finale because I was jumping between using mods and not. But yeah, take those stats, not with a complete grain of salt. Like, Grit's are pretty close, but Nora's like, shrug, I don't know. We tried. We did the best we could. Okay, now I'm done. Again, if you have any further questions, let me know, and I'll try to answer them. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, let's meet back tomorrow, shall we?